Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Biff Bravo with you, aka Rudy Braxton, for a quick Met chat. What's happened since I've last chatted with you? Let's see. We lost 4 games to the Yankees. Several players are no longer on the team. Granderson being one. Rene Rivera. Lost to Miami. Today, lost another one. Conforto went down. Yeah. How many people are just ready for the season to be over? All my years as a Met fan, and understand, I've been through some bad years. So, for those people that, you're a fair weather Met fan. No, I can deal with the bad year. But the thing what I cannot deal with is how we are having the bad year. You just don't have one, and this is true, we really didn't have the players this year. And once the pitching staff went, that was like, and then you were just losing players left and right. But it's just after you got to a certain point, after you sit there and you got to the All-Star break, and you say, okay, maybe there's a chance. Maybe, we can put something together like we did last year. Unfortunately, it just wasn't there. Because the concentration, I believe, with management was, okay, if I really truly don't see anything, how do I start selling off these guys? And I cannot sit there and say that, some guys, you just, you know what? You weren't going to bring them back next year anyway. Get what you can for them, And I've done a video before, and I said, when they were getting rid of players, it was a fire sale. Let's not, sugarcoat it. It was what it was. But you thought, okay, we survived this. Okay, we understood that there was the waiver. But what really, truly got me is when you traded away Granderson. And understand, Grant, he might not have been on the team next year. But I thought that at least, if you didn't trade him at the deadline, let him end his year as a Met. Now, the only saving grace for me is he went to the Dodgers, where he has a true chance of going to the World Series and getting a World Series ring. And if anybody deserves that chance, it's Curtis Granderson. He's a class act, and sometimes you gotta sit there and go, you know what, this is more than, me just being a Met fan. This is a guy where you sit there and say, you know what, for his career, he deserves. And Rob, that's the thing that bothers me as anything. That he was a true leader in that clubhouse, and you sit there, that's the one thing this clubhouse needs. You know why it worked the year we went to the World Series and the year after that? It was a good mixture of young ball players and veterans. But there were those veterans that the young kids could go to and they could listen to. Curtis Granderson, Bartolo Colon, even at this point now, Jose Reyes. And those guys are missing in that locker room right now. And that's an issue for me. It's an issue for me because going forward, forget this year, but going forward, where are those guys going to be? Because you're going to need those guys if you're going to retool this whole thing. Okay? And Rob's right. Part of retooling is getting a training staff in there that understands what they're doing. Now, I read an article today, and, I'll touch on it right now. One of the part of the retoolings is, do you bring back Terry Collins? And Grant, you've seen me on these videos before, and you've heard me say, I've had my rants with Terry Collins, and Terry has proved me wrong. But there's a time now where you sit there and say, look, this is not about, what Terry has done, but to the point of, how do we need to retool this team? And to be able to retool this team, you need a new voice in that locker room. One of the new voices I think can be what's sitting in the opposite dugout today. Ron Gardenhire. I think he would be an excellent fit here. This is a man who, if you know your baseball history, and I just found this out today, but after Tom Kelly, but even before Tom Kelly, he's the most winningest manager in Twins history. And I find that hard to believe, seeing that Tom Kelly took them to a World Series. So saying that, and you think about, okay, who could be the replacement, to help with the lead, to lead this team? Ron Gardenhire is, to me, a perfect fit. Because, see, a lot of people always say, well, get rid of Terry, but it's not so much get rid of Terry. You have to know who you're going to bring in to take Terry's place. Now, we all, us fanboys, and I'll say it like that, all of a sudden, it's Backman. But we already know, first of all, what happened to Backman last year. And second of all, they just were not going to put Backman here. Hey, Antoine, yeah, he did play for the Mets. And that's another thing. This is a guy who was in the Mets organization, came up through the Mets organization. And you know how I feel about that. You need to bring guys who were Mets. Okay? Now, I know you're going to have some guys in there. Oh, that just sounds like the guys across town. Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to sit there and say, if it ain't broke, why are you trying to fix it? Sometimes you have to embrace your history. Other ball clubs do it. St. Louis does it. The Pirates do it. Understand, you have your homegrown players all throughout the league on other teams, and you refuse to bring them home when you have a chance. Gotta start doing that. You gotta start sitting there saying, we need to bring our players back to our organizations, knowing what they can bring, if they could bring something. And I thought about it when I heard it on the radio. I said, you know what? That would be a great fit. This man can manage. The man wants to manage again. And I think he could be that person to be that voice in the locker room. But you need actually players in the locker room. And like I said, I've told you this before, it's not a rebuilding, it's a retooling. Because if you can bring back all the pitchers who were supposed to be here this year, healthy, we got a chance. But, here's the but. Here's the but. And this is where Sandy failed us this year. You relied on that pitching so much, you did not make the offense worthwhile. Oh, you signed Cespedes, but, and you hoped everything else, but you did not make a lineup that, we can score some runs. Like you did 2015 and 2016. No, it wasn't there this year. You did not have that run machine like you did last year. So right this year, you really have to, and I've seen everybody, especially, we should get the name I'm going to say for third base. Okay, I'm going to just say it like this. As long as David Wright is here, that's your third baseman. Okay? And those people, he can play first. Well, then what's the big deal of getting Dominic Smith here? You cannot bring that kid up to have him back up David Wright. He has to play every day. So understand, we're stuck with David Wright being the third baseman next year. Okay? It is what it is. You know? Anton, my only issue with focusing on the manager is that we're not adding a roster piece. In my opinion, the manager has... You're right about that, Anton. I mean, it's not a focus to me, because I agree with you, but you do have to have a guy who has some kind of insight of where the team is going. I mean, the mistakes that Terry Collins has made this year, especially where you look at how he's handled players, Thor, I'm not going to get an MRI. Okay, look, I'm the manager. You're getting that MRI. I don't care. You're not going out there and hurting yourself. Okay? On field calls, a lot of time, I think Terry has made bad moves. Okay? And we've seen it before, but, we overlooked it because, we made the playoffs. But it's getting to a point now, you've got to sit there and go, where is the true leadership on this team going forward? Okay? The truth of the matter is, if the leadership had, done what they needed to do, we could have easily, be going for a third year going to the playoffs. We really should be making that third run to the playoffs. And to me, that was the real thing that we needed to do. Hey, Fred, like I said, the Wally Backman thing, that's a dead issue. The Will Ponds ain't going to bring him back. Like I said, the man right now, for me, is Ron Gardenhire. The bullpen, I'm not so worried about the bullpen. For the simple reason is, one of the arms they got in the trade, I think, can really work out. Especially with the Granderson trade, I think that kid, he can really work out. And you're going to get some arms. Okay? Remember, next year you're going to get Familia back for a whole season. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, but at this point, he is your closer. Remember, they got A.J. Ramos from the Marlins. Okay? That's probably going to be your setup man. Okay? You got Bivens. You got Sewell. Okay? Who I think, those two are good. Okay? What you really got to truly start looking at is the starting rotation. And to me, what happens past a Thor and a DeGrom? I mean, let's really think about it. Let's look at it. Okay? Harvey's gonna, I know, Jim, God help us all. But when you look at it, you figure, okay, Harvey, if it's healthy, will be the number 3. Okay? Now, I know a lot of people going to get on me about this, but do you fit Steven Matz in that position? After what we know now, he was pitching through pain, pitching through injury. But at the same point, you have to look at this. This is a man who, since he's been on the team, every year he's injured. And I know a lot of people, but he's a lefty. You can't get rid of a lefty. Well, find another lefty. And I've said this before. Your point for next year, for 2018, is to have an injury-free team. You cannot afford to have people next year doing long-term injuries. You cannot win that way. And I'm not talking about the pitching staff. I am talking about the whole team in general. Antoine, I do agree that the Mets should, and we'll get a new man. And I think Terry has checked out mentally and wants to retire. All it means that the manager to take over as well. Yeah, that's just a small part of the retooling. It's not a big part. Okay, it's just at this point, you know what? And you're right. if you're Terry and you already see, look, we're not going to have a winning season. At this point, the only thing you can is actually fight back and see, oh, can we get to 500? And I believe we can't get to 500. Do you think we're going to go after Stanton? Jim, I'm going to answer it this way. The guy that I thought these are the guys I thought should have stayed. Jay Bruce. Because if you look at Jay Bruce has stayed, and you have now an outfield of Cespedes, Conforto, and Jay Bruce, that is 20 plus home runs out there. So you're sitting there looking at 60 home runs. Okay? And what else the infield can bring you? So, that's the thing. Now, Stanton, Stanton can hit the home runs, but are you willing to pay that? That's the issue. Are you willing to pay that? And, if I'm thinking anybody's making this deal for Stanton, guess what? The Marlins, you were stupid enough to give him this contract. You're going to have to eat some of this money. You want this guy gone. And that's the problem with Stanton. Fred, I agree with you. If you can bring Bruce back, you bring Bruce back. See, my thing is, you got these guys off the team, you didn't want to have to pay them, or they were going in free agency. But that does not mean that they did not work within your organization. Okay? Yes, Jay Bruce, when he first got here, it was rough and and everything. But he showed he could play in New York, and we showed him the love. You're right. You're absolutely right, Jim. That was the beginning of the end, because guess what? You have to look at where your offense was. If it wasn't coming from Conforto, it was coming from Bruce. And now, since Bruce is not there, where's it coming from? Okay, Cespedes is now coming along, but, a little bit too late. Cespedes is one of those he has to get in that groove early on. I think if he didn't have the injuries and everything, and he had gotten in the groove, it would have been easy for him. It would have been way easy for him. But because it took so long, that's where the issues come. That's where the issues come. Everyone give me just one break. I'll be right back with you. And we're back. You have to think about re-signing some of these players. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. You have to really think about signing Bruce. You have to bring, if you have the time, go online and look at who all the free agents are available. And, I know guys are, we want Moustakas here. Okay, I understand. You're not, payroll-wise, yes, the Mets can pay for it. But you know what? What is that going to do for you? Okay? You have to look at guys who can help you somewhere down the line. Okay? A person who's free agent, Andrew McCutchen. A guy I think could help you. I mean, you just have to really just look and see, like for next year, Dom Smith is going to be at first. Jeb Lowry, Jim. I have to take a look at it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to sit there and say, because I believe in, not Sepsis, but Cabrera will be here. And understand, of all the guys that, wanted to get out of here, and they couldn't trade yet, Cabrera is still here. And I think, Cabrera has, especially I think within this organization, has risen his stock. Because now you just don't see him, and I think he understands that too, you just don't see him as a second base, a shortstop, but you see him as a second baseman and a third baseman. So, could I live with Cabrera being at second base? Yes. The man hits. He's a great number 2 hitter. Okay, yeah, Jim, you're right. He's a decent player. You can't sit there and say, his biggest problem is he still looked at himself as a shortstop. And that wasn't happening here. Okay? As they say, wounded pride. Oh, I'm a shortstop. I understand that. And that was a part of me where I said, you know what? Give this guy a little bit of time to calm down, cool down. If he's still sprouting the same thing, then you don't need him on his team. But I think he's a guy that you can keep. Understand, remember, not rebuild, retool. So that means you can keep some of your players that's been on this team if you just get 1 or 2 players around him that can, be the difference. It might just be 1 player. But the player you bring in can't be a player who, during the season, he's going to have at least a month stint on the DL. You can't bring in, those kind of players. You have to bring in health. And understand, you cannot know when injuries are going to happen. That's not something where you can sit there and go, well, a player can get injured at any time. But there are certain players who, they don't spend time on the DL. They keep themselves healthy enough. Okay, and granted, Fred, I keep Reyes. Reyes has become, understand, Reyes knows what he is in that locker room now. He has become the elder statesman. And if we want Rosario to be the shortstop of the future that I think he will be, you need a Reyes in that locker room. Okay? You need a Reyes in that locker room to speak to this kid, to make him understand, you know what? And I make the comparison, him and Dom Smith are the Wright and Reyes of this era. Okay? And because they are, Anton, I think you're right. Lorenzo Cain is an interesting option. But, I have a feeling that, the more Conrado plays center, the more comfortable he's going to be. Understand, and I'll use a comparison with Juan Lagares. Juan Lagares is a Gold Glove center fielder. Problem with Juan, he don't stay healthy. He's one of the guys I would love to see him stay. I would love for him to be a 4th outfielder on this team. But you can't stay healthy, my friend. And that's the problem. You have to go. Those are the players where you sit there and you check and go, I like you, but, I don't see enough of you. Another guy, Travis. Every year, Travis is on the DL. And he's on the DL for months. Okay? Can't live with that. And understand, the problem with catchers in the major leagues, there aren't that many anymore. Catching is not looked at as a quote-unquote important position anymore in a lot of teams. And so the development of catchers is hard. To find one. Fred, you're right. We need a real catcher. That's why the whole getting rid of Renee bothered me. Because, okay, fine, you want to keep Travis on the team, fine, but you need a true backup. And understand, I'm going to be straight up, and I am no fan of Kevin Pilecki. Because the problem with Kevin Pilecki is he's had chances to win that job outright. Time and time again, and he has not shown anything. So how much respect can I give to Kevin Pilecki when you've had chances to have that job for yourself? You have never shown anything when you've had the chance. So why should you just be given that job? No. They need a catcher. And unfortunately, the name always being floated is Jonathan Lucroy. Okay, the truth of the matter is, Jonathan Lucroy is not probably he's probably the best thing out there, but it's not like the greatest thing. I thought, especially last year, coming into this year, that Matt Wieners was probably your better option. Okay, he's not a great catcher, but his offense is what you need. And I think that's the real problem where it comes down to the catching on this team is you're going to get a catcher. He's not going to be a great backstop. He's not going to, no, well, the thing is you don't need a catcher to throw anymore really any days because the league doesn't steal like that. You just need him to be able to call a decent game. And that's the other reason I was mad about Rene is this is one few guys that you had on the bench who could call a decent game. Okay? You need that guy. Now, I'm not going to say they might bring him back next year, and I really hope they do. Okay? Like I said, not rebuilding, retooling. And in retooling, you can bring a guy back like him. But, Fred, you're absolutely right. They need a catcher. These are the positions where they need a catcher. Okay? They need another outfielder. Okay? Yeah, they need a cannon arm, and that cannon arm needs to be in right. If you look at it right now, that's the arm you need in right field. Okay? There's not a lot of spots on this team, and when you look on an everyday roster, to get in there. And that's the issue. You know, the only position where you want to sit there, and you, like I said, you don't want to play around with, is Dom Smith. I mean, I think Terry has handled him up to this point. Well, he's getting a little bit better because I didn't like him pulling him in certain situations when the game was on the line or anything, and you didn't allow him to go up to try to, get a hit. And, you don't want this kid's confidence. I see his confidence is coming back. And, I see him getting more comfortable. So we're going to see from the end of the year to now what he has to bring. Okay? If it deems necessary that he stays on the team and he's a backup, it might. It might be a rotation at first base between Dom Smith and I'll even say it. Maybe you do that. Give him a rotation between him and David Wright. And you go after Moustakas. Could be. Okay? But once again, not rebuilding, retooling. And if you can do that, we'll be fine. I want to add another name. And yeah, I'm about to say, and it's funny that you talk about the starting pitching, because I'm just about to say a name that this is a guy I've been down on, but it seems like he's pitching better, and I kind of thought he had it in him, but, and I think this is another problem with the Mets pitching staff, where Dan Walton has to go to. Rafael Montero. He's starting to believe in himself. I'll move since it doesn't like. Well, Rafael Montero, he has good stuff. But the problem with him is having confidence. I also believe that's the problem, other than the injuries with Steven Matz, is a lot of times I've seen him on that mound and not have confidence in yourself. Look, you know what your fastball can do. You can eat up a guy inside. Hey, Russ, well, like I said before, and you weren't here, if Terry goes, then that whole staff is going. And, I don't know who you bring him in as a pitching, coach, but I think Dan Weldon has to be able to teach these guys, guess what? Have more confidence in your stuff and pitch in. You know what? I get tired of seeing a Rafael Montero, who I think has so much talent, and he refuses to pitch inside. Okay? But that's also the league now, where, batters are dictating what pitchers are doing. Okay? Oh, you can't throw inside to me. This is my plate. No, if you're a pitcher, that's your plate. I know I'll change my note when I'm batting, but as a pitcher, and your mentality should be always, that's your plate. Get off my plate. If I want to pitch inside, I'll pitch inside. And if I believe Met pitchers start doing that a lot more, then guess what? They'll win. All right, Russ, we need to get a young pitching coach. Yeah, I agree. You need, at this point, you need another voice. You need another voice. Okay? A lot of this is, especially with Thor, DeGrom, they have talented guys. They just, they're talented. And, they are not the ones who need that, I hate to say the word, coddling. Okay? But you have other pitchers, who do. Fred, you're reading my mind. Fred, you're really reading my mind, because that's exactly what I'm thinking. Bob Gibson is one of those pitchers. You tell Bob Gibson that, oh, that's my plate. You know what Bob Gibson's going to do? You're going to catch a fastball right up your head. Okay? Jonathan, we need a new first baseman. I just covered that just a few minutes ago. Got to give Don Smith a chance. David Wright's going to be here until he decides. I mean, if you really, truly, like I said, you can get a rotation there if you want to bring in another third baseman. Okay? And that to me is the only thing where it works. See, the thing I have wrong with David Wright is, I understand, David, you really, truly want to play. You're the captain of this team. Your heart's with the Mets. But there's some point where you have to sit there and say, can you physically still play this game at that level, championship level? And when I say because this is where this team is geared for. Okay? If you take this year and place it over there, okay? Put it over there. You look at the last 2 years, it's been exciting to be a Met fan. Okay? So you sit there and go, this year was really a true step back. We don't need to step back any further. At this point, we need to step back up. Because I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, sooner or later, the rest of our division is going to catch up. Okay? Now, the Phillies might not catch up. No, Atlanta might not catch up, but there is Miami. And with new ownership in Miami, you don't know exactly what they're going to do. And, and I'm not going to be like a hater, but the Nationals aren't that good. They're good. But they're beatable. They have not shown me anything in the years they have made the playoffs. Mark, I think there's too many holes to fill. Don't know what we have with stuff. I can't agree with that. I think that, there's still, like I said, if you can keep guys healthy. See, the biggest problem this year is when you don't have no guys to play and put out there. It's one thing to have one player down, maybe even two. But when you're sitting there saying, at least 3/4 of your lineup is gone. You can't win that way. Russ, I think that we need to clean house, coaches, trainers. There's too many injuries. I just said that. Okay, Anthony, more trades. More trades are not going to do it. Understand, remember, the trades are only there to clear money. It was not necessary. to get any better. Bringing up Josh Stan. Anthony, you're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. What do you want to see as far as player personnel? Like I said, you need to go to free agents. Bring in a decent, healthy free agent. Don't get a guy who, has a history of injuries, but, this guy's he's gonna hit you 30 home runs a year. Okay, that's nice, but he's injured half the year. Okay? He's injured half the year. So what's that gonna do me? I need players who are gonna be healthy. Players who, if they get hurt, I'm all right, coach. It's just a nick. I'm not going to be out for no real time. Okay? Malcolm, yeah, I covered that. The catching, is, one of those things where you're not going to get a really true big time catcher, but you need somebody who is healthy that you can count on to play at least 150 games. Okay? That's the problem right now. That you have to, really get the kind of guy. Okay? Next season is all about health issues. Getting and staying healthy. Okay? Last year, same thing happened, but you were able to survive. Because you had your starting pitching. Starting pitching really didn't go down. Most of the guys who were hurt and injured were, your lineup players. And you were able to, you had the TJ Riveras, and you could put them in. Okay, and that's, because TJ's been hurt, and you kind of forget about him. But remember, you still got the TJ Riveras, the Wilmer Floreses. Okay? As I like to call them, core guys. Okay? You're not saying that everyday players yet, but these are core guys that you can plug in this lineup when you need to plug in guys. Montero is the ace. He's not an ace, but he's a good number 5. And I'll tell you, and maybe I'll go out on a stretch with saying this, I could see Cologne coming back. See, I had a problem, and I'll say this real quick about Zach Wheeler. If Zach Wheeler is on this team next year, he better not be starting. Zach Wheeler needs to be in that bullpen as a long man. We've seen enough of Zach Wheeler as a starter. He's your number 6 starter. He's an emergency starter. He's a long man at this point. The best you can get out of Zach Wheeler, if you can, is 5 good innings, and that's it. Jim, would you trade Harvey knowing he doesn't have what he used to have? Honestly, I don't have a problem trading Harvey if you can bring back a guy that's a true number 3. Harvey, Familia, and Ramos, big 3. Well, like I said before, I think Ramos is going to be your setup man. He's going to take the spot of Anderson Reed, and you're going to have Familia as your closer. And let me say this. Reed wasn't great as a closer, but he did what we needed to do. And that was also another problem. Early on in the season, when we had games won, and, and because you had to go to your bullpen almost see, that was also one of those things that killed me this year. You went to your bullpen every single night, and it's not like you're going to your bullpen in the 7th inning. You're going to your bullpen in the 5th inning. These guys could never get any rest, so now you got a bullpen that's tight as hell. And, the games where you were in it, it can't save it or can't be a part of it because they're tired. Dave, do you need someone to protect Seth? Well, that someone is Conforto. Okay? The thing is, you have to get a healthy lineup. You know? Terry, to me, is gone. Okay? And, it's not bad. And let's not kill Terry. Okay? Terry has done something that no other Met manager has done, has put us in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Okay? But all good things have to come to an end. Okay? Terry has been a major part of this retooling of this team, helping us bring the young arms along, like DeGrom and Thor. But at some point, you sit there, how far can he take you? He's taking you maybe as far as he can. Dave, who plays right field next year? Left up to me. Jay Bruce. Jeff, so who's the new manager? I said earlier in the video, I believe that's Ron Gardenhire. Well, like I said, I believe it should be Ron Gardenhire. I really don't think of it. I haven't thought of any other names out there, any other managers that, and understand, you're bringing in a manager who is a player's manager and understands about winning. Okay? You can't bring in a manager here who doesn't have that mentality. Ricardo says if the starters didn't play like trash, he wouldn't need the bullpen. That's true. That's true. Peter, you're right about that. He's not perfect, but and that's the other thing. This year, that's why it hasn't been on Terry as much, because you haven't had nothing to work with. Every time you turn around, this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt, and you never hear about, we're getting the guy back. Okay? People were getting hurt and being out, well, he's going to be out for a month or so. That don't help me. Fred's like, maybe Bob Gant. That's a good name. Terry did what he was supposed to do. He brought the young. Yeah. At this, like I said, maybe Terry has taken you as far as you could go. My man Herm is with me. Herm, how you doing? But you're right. I'll give you an example from the guys across town. Remember, you had the guy, I can't remember his name right now, but before Joe Torre. Understand, once Torre got there, they started to win. Okay? But that was, and I can't, his name right now, I got brain freeze. That was not his team. That was, he was the manager and he brought him as far as he could. It was Joe Torre who brought him all to the other way. And I think that might be, the point of, where, Dave, can we have a manager if a guy... Yeah, Showalter, thank you, Fred. Buck Showalter. That's the other thing. You need a manager, at this point, who's going to sit there and say, look, I need you every day. And I'm not saying that Terry hasn't been that manager, but I just think he's gotten away from it. And, at this point, you got to get back to that. You truly have to get back to that. Once again, not rebuilding, retooling. Okay? Because if you go back to rebuilding, this team is going to take at least another 3 more years to get back to, where we're at. And I don't think if you look, let's just really look where our two best starting pitchers between Noah Syndergaard and DeGrom. Okay? If I can throw those two guys out there and just get a third guy, I'm good. If I can get an offense help me who can back me up. And you're right, we have money this offseason. Bobby V is a free agent. Anthony, this is a funny guy. I like him. Uh, we have money this year, but we also have to spend the money wisely. Okay? If we don't spend the money wisely, then what the hell? And let's give, like I said, what, a person I haven't talked about in the video is Sandy. I don't get on Sandy a lot because you know what, Sandy has been a big part of this turnaround. And when Sandy was able to finally clear all the muck and everything out the way, Sandy did bring players here. Sandy kept us in playoff contention when we were in playoff contention. So, like I said, give credit where credit is due. Okay? This year, really, for him to do that, there was nothing to, here for him to do that. So he did the opposite. Let's clear some space. Okay? Now, I don't agree with all the moves he made. Everybody, Duda, Duda was going to be a free agent, and you knew Dominic Smith was coming behind him. He wasn't in the plans. It didn't hurt me. Okay? So, the things like I said, the guys who hurt me is Grandison, okay? Jay Bruce. Those are the guys. I understood it. One of the things that hurt. Okay? Like I said before earlier in the video, I would have liked to see Grandy end his career. Well, not his career, but his tenure in the Mets as a Met. Because you're right. The medical staff needs to be better. And, Fred Murphy still haunts me. I've left Murphy in me. I haven't followed what Murphy has done this year. I know Murphy's probably having decent numbers because he is Daniel Murphy. But I've left that in my, because this was the problem with Daniel Murphy. This is where I say the Mets, if anything during this run, drop the ball. You saw what this man did during the World Series, but you were so caught up with he can't play second base that you let that overshadow what he could do offensively. And that's what this is where that team is missing. And this is the one failure on Sandy's part where, you've got so caught up with the starting pitching that, and you think, I got Sepsis, that, that should be enough offense. No. You need more offense. And, the thing is, with that offense, you need guys who are defensive players behind that, or at least guys that you can bring in late innings to, once you get those runs, to, all right, we can keep them where they're at. Herman, Sandy had a plan, and hope is, it's David Wright. I hate to say it. It is. Pete, they could get. I believe they will. I think Bruce likes playing in New York and understood it was a business decision, and bring him back. Herman, I talked about that earlier in the video, and I think that's if you truly want David Wright here, okay, and I'll be honest, he's not going to be able to play third base every day. We already know that. Okay? He's going to be platooning with Smith. Now, the only good part about that is because Smith is a young player, it gives him time to learn behind somebody. You know, I would prefer maybe Smith being out there, but maybe platooning him is not a bad idea. David, you're right. We need 280. We need contact hitters. Okay? One of the things that irks me with the Mets, especially when they have runners in scoring position or just trying that nobody is just trying to make contact. Even so, everyone's looking to hit the long ball, or they just so constant you strike out. Okay, the one thing I loved about Murphy is he and Confront. They are contact hitters. Okay, and you can have a guy on third, and you with less than 2 outs, and this team cannot bring him in because you can't get a guy who can just get contact and drive it to the outfield. Uh, Pete, I wish that was true. I really wish that was true. That David Wright would play one game in September and retire. I would love that because I love David Wright just like the next person, but it's a time that you got to let it go. Joey, uh, Joey Votto. That's what I think. I like the idea of Joey Votto. Okay, I was one of my guys that you sit there and go, if I had a chance of getting certain guys in the league, would I go? I had no problem with Joey Votto. I think he's one of those guys. I think just like Jay Bruce, who unfortunately got caught in a team like a bad Cincinnati Reds team for years, and became just the face of the organizations. That is just I'm just stuck here. I think in a way that when Jay Bruce got traded, it was a big thing. But I think after he got situated and saw what the situation was, that's why he kind of fit in. Look, they're trying to actually do something here when I'm in Cincinnati, and they don't never try to look like they're doing anything. You know, uh, too much money. Like I said, I would have to look up on what Votto. But like I said, I wouldn't have any problem with Votto coming here. But like I said, once again, we're talking about clearing room, and clearing room means no David Wright. With Confronto her. No, you know what? It's not that I don't want to see Tim Tebow, but then that becomes a show. Okay, that becomes a show, and I don't, you know, I no, I don't want to. David, never happened, but I like the idea. Um, yeah, it's one of those things that what you do like the idea of it, but what you have to do, and like I said, remember the one solid and of the two guys who are here, the young guys, between Rosario and Dom Smith, is the guy who's going to get the bigger chance is Rosario. Okay, uh, Don Smith truly has September to prove himself that he deserves to be here. Not and don't take me wrong when I say deserve to be here. Um, I take it in the sense of you still can get somebody to play first base where they're not looking for nobody to play shortstop. Okay? And like I said, if Joey Votto suddenly became available tomorrow, do you not think, and they said, well, you can get Joey Votto for $1. Oh, go get him. Dave, I like his swing too. I think I didn't like his swing when he first came up there, and I thought that was just nerves. But I think he's settling in now. So I think he's taking better hacks now than he was when he first got here. Jason, I think all the parts are there as long as we go into the with a smart move. Yeah. See, then Jason, you're absolutely. This is what I've been saying. Okay, this is about moving parts and just making sure that, you know what, I mean, basically for 2 years we were winning. Okay, we showed that we could win with the guys basically who we had on the team. The problem was injuries. When you cannot stay, and understand, when I say injuries, I'm talking about guys being out for 1 month, 2 months. No, not a guy. Okay, I'm hurt. I got a little sprain. I'll be out for 10 days. After that, I'll be back. Okay, we can't afford to have that next year. It hurts this team because this team doesn't have enough to, when you have that many players out, to really try to, make it work. Okay? One or two players, yes. But like I said, when you have almost half of your roster, I mean, it was a point in the first half of the season, it seemed like every other day you heard, this guy was out, that guy's out. You just have to shake your head. You're sitting there saying, oh, I hope guys don't have to go to the bathroom because, they go to the bathroom. Oh, God, he's hurt again. That's what I was telling the guys. We didn't have a losing season. That's right. If you look at it, this has been a winning organization for the last 2 years, other than up to this year. And Fred, also, you're right about that. Okay? You're absolutely right about that. Our window to win is closing. Okay? Unless you're going to pay a Syndergaard to be around, you're going to pay DeGrom to be around. Okay, these guys are going to hit free agency, and if you're not willing to pay them to keep them here or bring in somebody, and understand, when you're winning, everybody wants to be with the winner. So this is one of those things that if you start winning, you're going to be able to bring guys here. Pete, they need to catch a third baseman and now right field. Yeah, and there's no one, and that's the problem. Okay, that there's no one in AAA to replace the starters. So when they went down, and this is, the guys that you may have, they were already up here. And I'll give you two names of what, and the first guy, because he was injured, but when he came back, he showed me a lot. And the second guy, when he was injured and came back, didn't show me anything. Seth Lugo, when he came back, did what he needed to do. But Gelman, Pete, you're right. When it comes down to free agency, DeGrom and Syndergaard are the guys you have to keep. I think Harvey's replaceable at this point. Okay, he would have to show me a lot to keep him. If Walden on the chopping block, everybody's on that staff who's a Terry guy is on the chopping block. So see, you don't look at, if we get a new coach, all these guys are gonna stay. A new manager. If Terry goes, so does everybody else. Okay? So that's why I said, you need a new voice at this point. We need to move forward. Okay? Terry, you've taken us as far as you can. But now we need to go farther. Herms, people said trade Harvey now. I say wait, and we'll see what's in. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem keeping Harvey. Harvey is your number 3 guy, okay? He is your number 3 guy, okay? Unless you're going to get somebody to take Harvey's spot as that number 3 guy, because we don't have it right here. Fred, you didn't read my mind this time, Fred. But that's a guy who I think would be an excellent pitching coach for this team. You have to bring in guys who have won, who've had that mentality of winning. Okay? Frank Viola, one time Met, would be an excellent person to bring as a pitching coach if you wanted to do it. Okay? It's just like when you listen to Ron Darling, I just think Darling doesn't wouldn't want to be a pitching coach. But those guys are the guys who was through the wars and understand what you need to do. Okay? Who understand what pitching is. I think one of the problems with today's pitchers is they don't know. You cannot sit there and go, oh, I'm at 100 pitches. What do I do now, coach? Okay? The one thing I love about DeGrom is he goes out there to finish a ball game. And that's what your pitcher is supposed to do. I started this. I'm going to finish this. See, your bullpen will stay healthy if I don't have to use my bullpen. If I can start using my bullpen starting the 7th inning, that's when your bullpen needs to come into play. But if I'm looking at my bullpen to use it from the 5th to the 9th, I got an issue. Okay? I got an issue. Your starting pitcher, needs to go out there and say, look, coach, I'm going to give you 7 good innings. Enough said. You get to the 7th and you're under 100 pitchers, I'll give you 1 more inning. See, the only inning I said is not, that's not one of those things that is not so much is the 9th. The 9th is the closer. So if you sat there and you gave me 8 good innings, you did what you had to do. We got the lead. It's closer time. That's just a baseball formula. And if we could use that baseball formula, especially when you have DeGrom pitching, especially when you have Noah Syndergaard pitching. See, those are the guys that when you have those guys on the mound, you have to use that formula. Howard Johnson could be the new one. Okay, another guy, Howard Johnson. I don't know if he's ready to be a manager, but I would love to have him here as a bench coach. See, one of the guys I loved last year having as a bench coach was Tim Tuffle. Okay? I don't know if Tim Tuffle was ready to manage yet, but this is a guy who had won in the see, and that's the other thing. Winning within the organization. Okay? I have won before as a Met, and I want to tell you, it's the greatest thing in the world if you can win in this city. They will love you forever. How many of you do not love the 86 Mets? You will love them to the day you die. And you're right. They have to get back to that formula, especially when you have DeGrom or Noah on the mound. I would love to say Harvey, too. But Harvey has to prove that he's in that caliber again. Okay? See, the biggest problem now is your 4th and 5th starter. Okay? And at this point, it could be Matt if he's still here. Okay? Could be Montero. It could be Seth Lugo. Fred, why? Wally speaks his mind. Wally is not so much a quote-unquote company guy. So Wilpons have a problem with that. They have a big problem with that. And You know, I will say Wally was very good with the young talent, in Vegas, but the move to that next level, he had to become company man, and he wasn't that. He wasn't going to become company man. That's no. So they let him go. Uh, yes and no. Keith would make a good manager. I just don't think that he's just uh for this era of player. Okay, like I said, I like Keith as what he says. You know, uh, I was on the radio yesterday with a buddy talking about the NFL boycott, and one of the things that we spoke about off air was how soft some of these players are right now. And Keith Hernandez didn't play in an era where they had soft players. Okay, like I said, he played in an era where a pitcher took the ball, he went to look for a complete game. Uh, One of the stats that when I grew up was a big stat for a pitcher that now is just you know now if it happens, yeah, he's old school. Now if it happens and ESPN is covering it, oh, this pitcher pitched a complete game. That is not something to go on ESPN. That's an expectation of every pitcher who tills on that mound and takes that ball. You should be at least looking to pitch 8 innings. But because baseball has changed and it's all about, conserving yourself, you know, we get 6 inning ball guys. All right, 6 inning, oh, I'm done. Oh, bring in the middle relief. You know, when I grew up, we didn't have middle relief. When middle reliever came in, it just meant, okay, the starting pitcher just couldn't get it done that day. And that's one of the reasons I don't think Keith Connect as a strategist, yes, but as an everyday, no, because he would not deal with these players who could not be old school, too soft. You know, you know. Pete, you're right. The arms today are groomed that way. Okay, they're not. But like you've just said, they are groomed that way. Ungroom them. Okay, give them arm strength. Okay, or teach them how to pitch. All right, like I said earlier in the video. Okay, teach them to pitch inside. You know, everybody wants to throw 100 and throw the ball by you. Well, why don't you learn how to place the ball and throw that inside pitch where they can't hit it? Fred, you're right. If they go 5 innings, you're lucky. Okay, that's why you get guys who are junk pitchers getting a lot of money to be middle relievers because guess what? Well, I know I'm going to be out there from the fifth, sixth, and maybe seventh inning. Like I said, 75 pitch mark. And I understand you're in high school. No, Pete, you're absolutely right. You're in high school. You don't want some kid tearing up his arm young like that. But as you go up the level, especially if you playing this game, by A ball, you should be strengthening that arm that you can go out there and throw. No, see the problem is you cannot throw more because you're trying to be a power pitcher. Okay, you're trying to throw 100 miles per hour instead of getting your arm to the point where I can throw. I can throw past 100 pitches. It's about arm strength of endurance, not how hard you can throw. You're right, Pete. 100 is the mark. You know what really pisses me off? And I want to start to sound like, Bull Durham. But what pisses me off when I go to the ballpark to see the pitch count up there, which is not real. If you really think about it, it's not a true pitch count. If you add up the warm-up pitches between innings, and if you get a guy on first, and how many times you throw over the first, you're way over 100. Okay? You're way over 100. And that's the problem. Yeah, that's why Bartola has the last of rub on you. Yes. And all I'm saying is train them, groom them, okay, when they get into A, double A, triple A. Don't groom them at 100 pitches, start looking into, at some point, you should have the pride, you should have the heart, you should look deep down inside and say, you know what, I want to stay out here, I want to win this game. Fred, what happened to pitches when I was a kid? Yeah, that's what, we're from that same era. I always used to laugh. I used to play a computer game, on my Commodore 64, and me and my buddy would laugh because we have our pitches going out there, and simulated games, but we have them 100, 125 pitches, and we used to kid around and go, "Give me 9, boys, give me 9." But that was the thing when we grew up. You looked at your pitcher when you looked and saw who was pitching that day. It's like, oh, we're gonna have a dandy game because this guy's gonna be out there at least to the 7th inning. Okay, it doesn't happen nowadays. Like I said, if you get a guy who can give you at least 7, oh, he did something. Or as they say, he minimized his pitches that he could get No, pizza. Simulated games I like to go into after 5 hours. I am. I like that, Pete. But yeah, that's I know that sounds old school and everything, but you know what? Sometimes old school works. You have to look, as I say, if you want to be a champion, you have to have the heart of a champion. You know, see, even in the computer games. The one thing I love about Noah Syndergaard is he has that heart. He wants to, in the DeGrom, they want to go out there. They want to be on that mound as long as they can. They don't want to come out games. And that's that's why I truly love them. And you need more pitchers like them. They're few and far between. You know, young cats who just want to, I'm at 100 pitches. You know, No, the one time, and it did hurt us, I admit, yeah, again, we need a McDowell and a Roscoe. You're right about that, Fred. But when Harvey, it might have been a big mistake on his part, but I respected that. Harvey said, I want to finish this. You know? Now, a lot of people say, well, this is where Terry should have been the manager and said, you're not going to finish this, But if you look in that pitcher's eyes, and he looks at you and says, you know, until we lose it, I got this. You have to trust that sometimes. Okay? Unless you as a manager truly know, look, I'm looking at you, kid, and as much as you want to you have the heart, you don't have the arm right now. The two have to match. The heart and the arm. And if they match, you go out and slay them. I'm behind you. You know? So that's where we're at. Not a rebuild, but a retooling. That's all I have to say. I thank everybody who's joined me in this little conversation that we've been having. Hopefully we'll have another one soon. Like I said, let's just root for our team and hope we get better. Everyone who's been here, I thank you. The pleasure has been all mine. And I will get back to you and hope you get back to me. I thank everyone here, Fred, Pete, Herman, Fred. Yeah. Well, you know, is what it is. Well, let me go. Like I said, I thank you, Fred. I thank everyone, Pete, um, everyone who's joined in the conversation today. Uh, it's been fun, and I hope we can do this again. I try to do it at least once a week, you know, and I do it for you guys, to give you a voice. We have this platform, uh, and it's good for us to talk, you know. And like I said, I don't hold no punches. I try to tell it like it is. I'm not the Met fan who, want to see crazy trades and, everything. No, I'm realistic, you know, and I try to be real with you. So with that said, maybe we'll talk tomorrow. And until then, let's go Mets. See you later.